I'm here with the Morozco Forge ice bath, and this is the premier cold plunge on the market and something I've been wanting for a long time. Prior to having this, I had an old Sears freezer over there in the corner of the yard, if we want to pan to that for a second. Now, I did have that covered in a wood case in my old house in Los Angeles, and so it didn't look as bad as that in the yard, but it did have a number of deficiencies. One of them being it's probably not entirely safe to have something plugged in to power when it has water in it, so of course I would unplug it. But one of the other problems with it was keeping the water clean, and so you had to waste water continually by emptying it out. It was a very laborious process, and it was also very difficult to regulate the temperature. I want to keep it at a solid 33 to 35 degrees all the time, so I'd use a timer. It would go on for a few hours at night, then turn off, but even in so doing, based on the ambient temperature outside in any given night, it would be the wrong temperature. It would go, too cold and freeze all the way over, and it'd have huge chunks of ice I had to break through, which caused me to damage the sides and the bottom of that freezer, or it would not be cold enough. And I was really excited to get into a cold plunge, and it would be like 50 degrees, which is too warm for a real cold exposure experience. Enter the Morozco Forge. What the folks at Morozco Forge have done that is really cool and solved all of the problems I had with my homemade cold plunge is that they've introduced a couple amazing features. The first one being temperature regulation. So you're able to monitor the temperature by taking the lid off, which I'll show in a moment, and make sure that your temperature maintains the same degrees all the time. In this case, I want 33, that's the magic number. And the way that they're able to do that is by the internal thermometer keeping tabs on when their cooling unit turns on and off. And so that's a great feature. Another thing that's really cool is it will actually produce ice, but unlike my homemade ice bath that made a film of ice or even a brick of ice on top of the tub, the ice in the Morozco Forge forms on the bottom. Then they've been really clever in installing a simple heating unit on the bottom so that when it forms ice, that ice floats up to the top. So all you have to do when you get in is just break up some of these huge icebergs of ice, and you have the sensation of being surrounded not only by cold water, but getting that pressure. And believe it or not, it's a pressure that's very comfortable for me, as someone who loves cold exposure, around your body. So you get the ice, but you don't have to break the ice off the edges and damage the tub, and the temperature is continually regulated to the desired temperature. You could choose a temperature that's even warmer, like 45 or 50 or whatever you want it to be. So it's totally variable, completely controllable, regardless of the weather temperature outside. Now, the other problem with the homemade tub was, of course, the bacteria and funk that built up in the tub over the course of a week or 2 weeks. So I would continually have to empty all the water out, waste all that water, which is not a good idea. You don't want to waste anything if possible, and then have to fill it up again. Now, what they've done that's really genius is that they've installed an ozone generator that bubbles just the right amount of ozone into this water and continually disinfects it. So essentially, you would never have to change the water in a Morozco Forge. Now, if you had a clinic or biohacking spa or something like that, and you have 40 or 50 people in there a day, it's probably a good idea to change the water every once in a while. But for home use, even if I had my family and all my friends coming over all the time, sweaty and gross after a workout or after a sauna, getting in the ice bath, that ozone is such a powerful and non-toxic disinfectant. This water is always going to remain crystal clear and cold. Additionally, and I'm going to show this in a moment with my friend Brian Hoyer, who's an EMF expert, this tub is also grounded because it plugs into the ground of the building. We're not getting any electric field while you're in the tub, which is really important in terms of EMF. What we are getting, however, that would be present in nature is a really strong DC current. Now, you don't want an AC current, you don't want magnetic fields, you don't want RF, you don't want any of the EMF that's harmful. But what you do want is what would be present in a natural body of water. So when you go in the ocean or a creek or a river or a lake, you're going to be getting grounded immensely in that DC current that's present in the ground. And so when I walk around in my grounded sandals that I'm wearing right now, I'm grounded all the time. Unless I happen to be in a really high electric field, then I would choose to not ground, which is a whole other topic. But when I'm in the tub in my backyard, there are no electric fields present, so I want to be grounded in this body of water just like I would be in a natural body of water. So the folks at Morozco Forge have absolutely nailed it, and it's a great day today. I just got this tub today installed in my new home in Austin, Texas, and I'm just super excited to make this a part of my daily practice. And it's something I've been doing for years, and I've had to work very hard to keep the right temperature and the right cleanliness in the water and have something that just self-regulates. So I'm just going to keep this thing plugged in, and I'm going to be using it every day.
So we got the Morozco Forge here testing the grounding and the electric fields. So this is a multimeter that tests voltage and also body voltage that we use when we do our home EMF assessments with shielded healing. And right now we're just testing the voltage. So this is in volts or millivolts. And what I'm going to do is I'm just going to stick this test lead in the water, and let's see what we have here. So it is 0. So that means this whole tank is virtually grounded out. And grounding can act as a shield for AC electricity, but as we know, grounding is also a very therapeutic type of practice that we can do when we're in nature. And so, in order to test how much current we're getting from the ground, we have to go to this setting here and also change these cords around. And so right now, me just standing on the barefoot on the ground, I'm getting 0.53 microamps of DC current. That's me standing barefoot on the ground. Now watch, when I just hold this and I put one hand inside of this, I'm getting 30 microamps of DC current. That's the beneficial healing current from the ground. And if I actually just test with the lead and I put it inside of the water, I get, it popped up to over 900 microamps there of DC current. So right now it's hanging out around 500, 600 microamps of DC current from the ground. So that's pretty amazing. This whole tub is metal and it's grounded, and so you don't have any voltage and you have all the beneficial DC current that's coming up from the tub and the water. The water's grounded because it's connected to the metal. It's a very good system for getting not only cold therapy but also grounding therapy.